Yesterday, my best friend and longtime legislative colleague, Tom Rukavina, passed away after a very long, courageous battle with leukemia. My heart goes out to his family, as Tom was a dad and a grandpa first. He left us all too soon, and I, like many, will forever miss him. Unlike many of us around here, who will not be remembered after we leave this place, Representative Rukavina left an indelible mark on the legislature and will be remembered for a long time to come. He was one of a kind, irreplaceable, and I doubt there will ever be another one like him. He served in the legislature for 26 years. NPR reported that he had been in the legislature for a quarter of a century. I told them that Tom would have corrected them by saying it wasn't a quarter of a century, it was 26 years. He began his career in 1986 and retired in 2012. For 20 years, we went everywhere and did everything together. My family became his, and his family became mine. He has left a profound impact on my life, as well as the lives of many others. In fact, when he decided to retire, I was the first person that he told of his intent. I was sitting right there where Senator Kent is sitting, and he came down the center aisle and tapped me on the shoulder and beckoned me to that little phone booth there in the back. Well, we both squeezed into that phone booth, and we were in there, and I figured he had cooked up some last-minute scheme, even though we were both in the minority, and it was the end of the legislative session. So while we squeezed in there and closed the door, he tells me he's going to quit. I said, "That's ridiculous, Tommy, you can't quit." And I started to walk out the door, and he grabbed me and pulled me back in and closed the door, and he said, "No, I'm going to quit. But I'm not going to tell anyone until after we adjourn, so I don't have to give one of those goofy retirement speeches." Imagine that, one last chance to pontificate without any feedback, and he passed on it. Maybe that says something about him. You know, he could have been a senator had he chosen to run for the office, but he was housebroken. And he always said, "If we gave you senators wigs and robes, you'd wear them." I told him I'd wear the wig. He was the most passionate individual I've ever met, and he made sure everyone knew. He was passionate about family, he was passionate about teachers, students, and education, both K-12 and college. He was passionate about anything Iron Range, whether it was mining, unions, jobs, immigration, ATVs, snowmobiles, hunting, fishing, and even sarmas, porchettas, and potitza. He was especially sensitive to seniors, as not only did he know all of them in his district by name, he had several in his own family. Incredibly, he was even more passionate about taconite taxes, Giants Ridge, Iron World, and the IRRB, and I won't even go into that right here. Yet as passionate as he was about all these things, he was just as compassionate when it came to people who were not as well off, disabled, or disadvantaged, and who needed a bit of a help or a hand up. He was a giant in the fight for the little guy. He was a great human being. He was always prepared, very well educated, very articulate, and could be polished as well as brash. And he was the ultimate advocate for his district, and he earned your respect. People who knew him well loved him, and there was no doubt that he rubbed some people the wrong way, yet he often was able to get on the good side of many of those people. If he didn't yell at you, he probably didn't like you. He yelled at me a lot. He was funny, really witty, had a great sense of humor, and his humor was oftentimes self-deprecating humor. He was active right to the end, and as the letter to the editor that I handed out was written while he was in the hospital bed. It's very indicative of the man and his compassion. And even though he lost the ultimate battle, when he wrote the last paragraph in that letter, he had no intention of succumbing and was planning to be with us for a long time to come. So please join me in honoring my friend, our colleague, Tom Rukavina, in a moment of silence.
Members, please rise for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Rest in peace, my friend.